Welcome back to B&B Studios, where Berner and Barthy will talk all things happening in the Central Coast Rugby competition. Good chat, good footy, good fun. Take it away, boys.
Thanks, Tomo, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the B&B Unplugging Central Coast Rugby podcast. Back in the studio this week.
Yeah.
So the audio quality is good, or it should be a lot better anyway. How's your week, mate?
Mate, week's been great. Perfect weather. How good's it been?
Awesome.
It's been absolutely outstanding.
Again, no rain. Beautiful sunshine.
Went to the Terrigal's Lady Day on Saturday, which is fantastic. Frankie Webber's 100th game for the Trojans, first grade game. Shout out to former premiership or multiple premiership winner. Not former. He probably still wants to be another premiership winner this year. Frankie Webber played his 100th game. We went out and had a look at that, which we'll cover off a bit later on. But week was fantastic. How about yours, pal?
Week was good, mate. As you said, beautiful sunshine. Like yourself, got down to the Terrigal game to watch. I really wanted to see just Todd that last 20 minutes and what impact he could have. Probably got a little bit more game time this week with second grade not playing. Great to see him play number 8 off the back of that scrum. Just the pace he has picking the ball up and, his ability to create something out of nothing is beautiful as the tries to pick it up and the halfback just grabs it and gets it out. All right, mate, well, let's get into it. The results of the round, thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry.
It's in front of you, pal?
I do have the results in front of me, mate.
So what are we going to start off with? You know what? No, let's get right into it, and let's start off the results of the round. Thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry on a massive high. My Lake Macquarie Roos getting the first win of the season. How good?
Yeah, mate. Exciting news. Everyone's pumped for him.
Oh, mate. The enthusiasm in your voice is
48 points to 17. Emphatic. Mate, you haven't done your number. Oh, maybe you have done your numbers. Maybe I just don't know. So I'll just read through it. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 tries. Yep. Brendan Holiday with 4 from 8. We'll pay that.
Absolutely.
That's 4 conversions. That's more than they've had all year. 8 tries, huge win over Wowie, 48 points to 17. Their first win in the Central Coast Rugby competition. Stats, Barthy, take it away.
Oh, mate, how good. I knew it was going to happen, and I've been calling it for quite some time. Their climb up the ladder has now begun. Top 5, here they go. But I'll tell you an awesome thing I really enjoyed was seeing on their socials. And the best thing, too, it happened at home. How good. Yeah. Their first win of the year at home.
I'm so glad it did. Yeah. Home crowd, everything. They would have obviously, more people probably would have got down, more players, knowing this could be their first win. It's so much nicer when it happens at home. You don't have to travel after it. Could have been an awesome night on the piss after it.
Wild old night for the Lake Macquarie Roos down in Bullaroo. And it was awesome to see they were singing their club song, cheering, carrying on. They had the words to the song up in the corner of the change room. A few of the blokes not really knowing the words. You could tell the veteran who's been around for a few years, singing it as loud as he can. He probably hasn't sung it for years. Good stuff. It was absolutely fantastic. Well done, Lake Macquarie. Great win, starting their career in the Central Coast competition. So awesome victory to the Lake Macquarie Roos. Well done.
Second game, Warrnambool beat Hornsby 47 points to 12.
Yeah, mate, I was a little bit surprised by the size of the score, to be honest. Warrnambool winning, not really surprised, even though I think I backed Hornsby because it was all to play for. Either an absolutely dynamic and outstanding performance by the Wildcats or a pretty dismal showing by the Hornsby Lions. Could have been either or, to be honest. I wasn't down there. I didn't see it. But big congratulations to the Warrnambool Wildcats. That pretty much cements their spot in the 5.
We'll get to the ladder, but they're on 37. Hornsby now on 18.
Any listeners from the Wildcats, please send us through to the podcast. I can't remember them playing semis for quite some time. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
If that, there would have been 1 year that they got to it. If they came 4th 1 year. I remember there was a year where they beat Avoca, I think, at home. That was a massive year for them, but I don't know if they just missed out on semis or they just scraped through. They were 4th, 5th. They were somewhere there anyway, but they didn't last long in the finals.
Anyone from the Wildcats who can remember, get a hold of us here at the podcast. Would love to give you a shout out because they are semi-final bound. Well done, Wildcats.
Congratulations. Next game, mate. Terrigal 106 over the Lakes to 0.
Yeah, mate. At this game, and it's funny that the score line. Well, how do you say 106-0 doesn't really represent 106-0? I reckon 80 of those points were scored in the last 55 minutes. the Lakes were actually quite competitive there for a while. I think for the majority of the first half, all of Terrigal's tries came from within the Lakes 22. So Terrigal had to work their way up the field and actually create the opportunities to score the tries. So the first half was quite a competitive game, even though the score sort of blew out and the score was sort of, fairly large at halftime. But Terrigal had to work for all their tries. Definitely in the first, it became a lot easier in the second half. And obviously a few more runaways and fatigue set into the Lakes players. And Terrigal obviously run away with it, and Eleni calling it a little bit short once the ton was reached. There was still a few moments left. But, yeah, disappointing for the Lakes. Really good effort by the Terrigal Trojan side. Shout out to Frankie Weber, as we said, playing his 100th first grade game. But also to Blake Irwin.
I haven't really watched him play before.
Yeah.
Like I'd sort of seen him play, but he is electric.
Yeah, really
He's so
fast,
good.
isn't he?
He is, but it just his movement, like getting the ball, and there was a couple of times where there wasn't really anything happening, and he made something happen.
Yeah,
he really impressed me on the weekend.
I was thinking about that coming in today to do this podcast, and I'll be honest with you, it's probably the most impressive performance I've seen him play, as well. And I was trying to think, because he's always quick, and he positions himself sort of very well, but he took his footwork and he's in close contact. He took some running options and some running lines that I don't think he used to do. And whether that came through confidence or I'm not too sure, but he was outstanding. I thought he played really well. And he scored some tries that he probably didn't have the rights to score.
Yeah.
It was his quick footwork and his lines and running lines and his speed, which really enabled him to do that. And if this gives you an idea, I've been racking my brain what I was trying to think. There was one try in particular where he reminded me of one of the greatest ever to play the game in Brent Mungovan on the wing. And a Terrigal player, everyone knows who Mungo is, but there's a couple of times there when Blake scored a try, it was very Mungo-esque, just in regards his footwork, his elusiveness. He had three guys around him, and you think, oh, he's getting tackled here. No, he'll get tackled there. No. And just his footwork was amazing, and they barely laid a hand on him.
Yeah. And even at the very end, obviously had 5 tries. I think the club record was 6, is what people around the ground were sort of saying, or somewhere around there anyway. But had the ball at the very end and probably could have gone himself and just put the kick on the inside. I can't remember who was.
Great. It was a really good try. Yeah.
Just put the kick in for them. So, a lot of skill on him. A lot of skill on Blake. So, but a huge win, 106 points to 0 for them. Last game, mate, we are going to get somebody on to chat with us about this game. The Razorbacks beat Gosford 32 points to 23.
Yeah, get him on now. Now, listeners, we have warned him that we'll throw him well and truly under the bus by the time he gets on the phone. We won't have done that, of course, because that's just not how we roll. So we won't.
Right.
And he joins us right now. Lachlan Peruch, one of the greats in the Razorbacks. How are you, pal?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Mate, going very well. Very well.
Going great. Talk us through the game on the weekend, mate.
We literally have not said anything other than the score.
Yeah, okay.
So take.
You sound very unsure.
Where do I start? Okay. First half, I'd say our discipline was rubbish.
So yours being the Razorbacks?
Yeah, the Razorbacks, sorry. Yeah. I'd say our discipline was pretty rubbish. We were too worried about the refs calls and not picking up our own slack sort of thing.
Now, I'm just sorry, mate. I'm just going to interrupt you here because Connor Peden is famous for a good old-fashioned fish now and then. Did he throw a few out there in the first half? Like just being a massive sook to the ref?
No, I don't think so, because
look out.
the main one who I saw watching the video back was actually Ben Shelley. Sorry to drop a bomb, but he threw a few out there.
He's got a few in him. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I don't know where he's been fishing, but man, they must be big.
Sorry, and you're chasing the Red Devils there for a while.
Yeah, we were. Like I said, our discipline wasn't the greatest, so Benny Shelley actually capitalised on a lot of the penalties and was slotting them from everywhere in the first half. And then we were basically playing catch up the whole game, and then got ahead in the end. So
Well, here at the podcast, we like to, when there's an opportunity around to sort of promote the game, we get on it as quickly as we can. And we've been having a chat with the Bega Cheese Factory, and we're thinking about creating like a cheese cup or a cheese bowl or cheese shield, because
How many yellow cards were there, Lockie?
I think there's five slices of cheese were handed out by the referee.
Yeah, there was a few.
What bit of a melee, bit of a brouhaha, fracas?
Well, there was a few debatable ones, that's for sure, but there was a couple that were granted pretty deservingly.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, surprising for Burner and I, you didn't feature in those yellow cards. Is that correct?
No, I did get one myself. Yeah,
you did get one. Oh, there we go. That was the dodgy one you're talking about, the bad call.
No, that one was pretty old granted. Yeah.
You deserved it.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, there you go. Good to see an honest man. If I was still on the judiciary panel, I'd let you off for being honest. Because if you show up to the judiciary and say, yes, it was me, I did it, you'll pretty much be the only person in the history of the competition who's done it.
So, mate, where do you see you guys at now, moving forward? Where's the season at? Sum it up for Razorbacks and where you got to go. What you've got to do moving forward, really, to take out the competition. You've obviously put yourself in the position that you're able to do it. What's the next step to get there?
Yeah, I think we're looking real good moving forward. The boys are all starting to click together as a team, and there's no more. Well, there's not many individual efforts on the field anymore. Compared to the start of the season, where there was a lot of I in team. But the boys are definitely stepping up, and everyone's doing their individual role, and I'm speaking for the forwards here. We're a pack of 8. We're not individuals anymore, which is really, really, really good.
So really.
Definitely towards the end of the season, it's looking real positive.
Well, mate, that's the best time to start to gel as a team heading into the semis, which you guys are still a very good chance of making the. You could make the major semis. You guys can still finish top of the comp. Mate, just quick shout out for Owen Turner and Harry Bailey, 2 Razorback legends playing their 100th game. What's it like? Especially Owen, he's been in a purple patch of form. How would you rate his match on the weekend?
Oh, mate, he had a couple of really good moments there where I was sort of stopped in my tracks and stood back and had a bit of a scream like, yeah, Owen, sort of thing. Yeah. But he had a great game on the weekend. Absolutely creamed some poor fella in the middle of the field, which was awesome to see. But he had a great game.
Awesome, mate. Just going back to what you said, where I suppose the individual performances at in the forward pack, is that with the back row that you got? Like we've banged on about yourself, Rob, and also Matt being in that back row. Is that part of? I suppose is that where you found it hard to gel, given that? Obviously coming from 3 different clubs. I know Matt's, he's played together at Reps, and Matt's has been at Razorbacks before. But did you find it was difficult, given that you are 3 similar players in terms of 3 back rowers for their club last year that were the primary ball carriers? Did you find that was difficult?
Yes and no. At the start, it was sort of hard to figure out how each other played the first couple of games. Once we figured out the style of playing that we each sort of put on the table, where it was pretty easy to gel after that. Yeah. But now it's like I'm having so much fun.
That's awesome. It is, and
it's really good.
Yeah, the gameplay. The only reason I say that because I know, just if there was a quick tap, for example, you and Rob, if I was playing against you two, I'd be looking out for you two to take that ball and go, because you're the person to go to for that. So I think that's the only reason I was asking the question, obviously, with the 3 of you sort of gelling together. So, but no, it's awesome. Yeah, obviously great that you're having a lot of fun doing it as well.
Yeah, definitely throws a spanner in the works for the other teams.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks very much for jumping on, mate. Barthy's going to take that one, but I'll do it.
All right, thanks, boys.
Yeah, good on you, Lockie, mate. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks, pal.
All good. Thanks, mate.
All good, boys. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers. See you, mate. Bye.
Hey, now, even better now that he's off the phone. Have you hung up?
I have hung up. It just asked me what was the quality of your call. What would you rate that quality of the conversation, Barthy? We'll give him a 3 out of 5.
4 stars.
Yeah, 4 stars.
in the feeding department, what a good human of the Central Coast.
Great human.
I'm so glad he doesn't listen to the podcast because he'll never hear this. But Lachlan Peruch, outstanding rugby player.
Yeah.
He's such. You can build a rugby side around him.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his on the footy field, and he's just a good fella.
He plays so positive on the field.
Yeah. Well,
Even
except for the yellow card.
Except for the yellow card, yeah, you're right with that one. You just let me down there. But he is, even when I was playing against him when he was sort of just first started, he was always playing into great. Just again, quick taps, just go and just run at everybody, and was just so positive. And you're like, it's almost infectious for your team.
Yeah.
Some of that, and obviously how he's matured into the player that he is, he's phenomenal. Great.
The type of player I'd love to coach. I'd love to get my hands on and coach. And awesome.
Would soak everything in.
So Razorbacks getting the victory in a tight one over the Red Devils. Oh, there's a surprise. Just hang up. My wife ringing me again. What are you doing? Same thing we do every afternoon, dear. So
let's go through the ladder. So it's pretty clear cut now. So I think 1, 2, 3 is locked in. So Avoca, Terrigal, Razorbacks. Avoca's on 54, Terrigal's 53, Razorbacks 52. So
that's one game between first, second, third.
That is one game between first, second, third. Razorbacks have got a bye coming up. Danny's left a voicemail as well. You'll enjoy that.
Yeah, good.
Fourth place.
I forget to check that.
Fourth place, Gosford are on 39. Fifth place, Warnervale on 37. So a bit of a jump. There is 13 points between Razorbacks and Gosford in third and fourth.
Yep.
And then outside of that, I think everyone else is dusted. Hornsby in sixth place on 18 points.
Yep. Can't do it.
Yep. So 19-point gap there. It's pretty substantial. Lakes in seventh on 13. Wee Wee in 7. And Lake Macquarie last, but in 5 points. Lake Macquarie. They've got their first win of the season, everybody.
Watch them roll on from here on.
Yeah, it's only up from there.
I'll tell you, the really good thing about that top 5, though, is the top 3. Excuse me. Excuse me, Scott. The top 3 is nothing settled.
Yep.
Right. So that top 3 can change. First can become third, so on and so forth. You can do the maths. But also, too, fourth and fifth, they're not settled either. And the repercussions of coming fourth or fifth can be massive depending on who finishes first, second, or third. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for example, there are teams that would probably fancy themselves, let's say a Warnervale or Gosford. For example, I think Warnervale have got the game to beat Terrigal, and they've gone so bloody close this year on their 2 attempts, very close, and obviously losing last week, sort of on the bell. So, I think they might. And I think Avoca's towed them up a couple of times. I'm not too sure. So they might prefer to play Terrigal in the semi. So it's real exciting leading up. We got 4 games to go. There's a lot at stake here in the top 5. It's exciting.
But it is very exciting I do want to celebrate Gosford and Warnervale for playing finals this year.
Yeah.
That Gosford from where they are 2 years ago, even last year, the whipping boys of the competition to where they are now is outstanding. And also Warnervale, they've done they're both clubs have done awesome to get to the point that they are. So
we
hats
can't
off to both.
Yeah, we can't do that without a recognition and a shout out to Carryong.
Yep.
And their players. Carryong's demise has been Gosford's whatever the opposite to demise is.
Gain.
Rise.
It's a good one. Similar words. All right, on to the women's. First game, well, they were all shellackings. There was a score to duck eggs. And I think you got 1 from 3 tips, so well done. Avoca beat Woi Woi 54 points to 0. I think that is pretty.
Yeah, shout out to Woi Woi. They showed up, I think, with 7 or 8 players. Avoca tried to help them out. They were happy to play, and the game got called at, I think, 3/4 time.
Yeah.
From all reports that I spoke to a couple of the Avoca ladies, and they did their absolute best to accommodate Woi Woi, but it's just getting a bit too hard for them now, I think.
Yeah. And also, we're at the end of the season. I think we've only had a couple of weeks. We do only have a couple of weeks to go, so it's just sort of getting through to the end. But positive signs for Avoca: 7 from 8 conversions.
Yeah, how good!
And 3 different kickers.
Welcome back.
That's very positive signs.
Well, it's good to see our coaching's working, isn't it?
It is. Terrigal beat Lakes 41 points to 0. We both tipped a Lakes upset here, and I'm a little upset, to be honest, by that scoreline. I thought that it might have been a bit closer, at least some points. I thought that Lakes had the attack really to break Terrigal down and just didn't get there. I wasn't at the game. You were. Tell us about it.
Terrigal discovered a plan B. It's as simple as that. And I've got to be honest with you, it was one of the most impressive games I've seen Terrigal play ever.
So what did they do? What was different to, I suppose, normal? Sophie Dryden back helps.
Oh, Sophie had a cracker of a game. We meant to try and catch up with her. That didn't happen. Terrigal played a different game. Now, this is going to sound like I'm hanging shit on them, but I'm not. But they're still missing Jess Brooks, Sian George, Ann Jones, and a couple of other young ladies. And their game plan's a little bit, because it works, is a little bit punch a few through the centre, out wide, run a random score.
Yeah.
That's not always going to work. And we saw with those 3 or 4 women out, that speed out wide, they didn't have a plan B. And they were ripe for the picking. And they weren't playing a real good rugby, but they played an outstanding game of rugby. And the reason why I loved it so much is they barely touched the ball in the first 10 minutes. Lakes were so good. Lakes just dominated possession, and they just kept rolling through. The problem with Lakes is Lakes didn't have a plan B either. So where they could roll through and eventually wear the teams down, and there'd be no one to make that tackle through the centre, and they would run away and score, Terrigal just kept marking up, knocking them down. And, yeah, so Lakes absolutely dominated possession in the first half. It was – and I'd love to see what a statistic was over the game. I'd be surprised if they still didn't finish up with more possession than the Terrigal side, because they were outstanding there, and they're smart too, the Lakes women. This is what was so impressive by the Terrigal Trojans ladies, is because they thought along with the Lakes women, bashed them, knocked them down, waiting, ball opportunity, pounced on the ball, turnover. Kept the pressure on, and knock on. They get the ball, they get the opportunity to work it, and they didn't have the luxury of just going bang, bang, bang out to Sian George, bang, bang out Jess Brooks, Ann Jones, running around them and scoring.
Yeah.
They actually had to work and start playing and having sort of ball runners. I thought Sophie Dryden was absolutely outstanding. I thought you clearly saw how much the Trojans miss her. She was, I thought, close to the best player on the paddock. If we were giving out the B&B Player of the Match awards like we used to, I think I'd be giving it to her. She was brilliant. But also, actually, Millie Lupo had one of the better games I've seen her play. She was great and strong. They just played a good style of rugby. They were smart, they were calm, but they also attacked a variety of different channels. And they stripped Lakes a couple of times wide and got to score some tries in the wider channel. So it was a really good, well-rounded performance by the Terrigal Trojan women, and I still stand by. I reckon it was one of the most impressive performances I've seen from them, because they weren't just a one-trick pony anymore. Yeah. They actually had to have a few other strings to their bow, if you will. And I think I've got a new favourite player, but I've got a player to watch. Can you just quickly check the team sheets? And hopefully, Terrigal Trojan women, you're listening to me here. She wore the number 17 jersey.
Alexandra Jemison.
No, maybe it was her. I tell you, number 22. It was number 22.
Corey Robinson.
I hope I get this right. Corey Robinson made this absolutely outstanding run, sliced through them, got to 5 meters out, and she goes, "You know what? I'll score here instead."
Oh.
It was one of the greatest things ever.
Why would you run the extra 5?
no
one
point going the extra 5.
Is it easy? Okay.
Done. And then I can't remember the referee goes, "Mate, there's no try."
I'd be pinning that on shit line marking. I'd be looking at the line going, that doesn't look like a 5 meter line.
And to her credit, all you could do is piss yourself.
Oh, what do you do?
Exactly what she did.
You can't blow up. You can't do anything other than just go, oh, no.
And who's 17?
17 is Alexandra Jemison.
Yeah, keep your eye on her. If she's the taller, blonde young lady who just looks like she looks young, but looks like she's got a lot of potential. Yeah. Couple of runs. She didn't get a lot of time, but a couple of things I watched. She looks like one to watch. So, yeah, it was a really good game. Scoreline. I don't know what the right word is actually, because it doesn't really flatter Terrigal, because they were great, and it doesn't. Yeah. I think the scoreline was probably a
fair indication.
Yeah, they went really, really well, and Lakes were impressive. Lakes were really impressive. They missed. I don't think Erina was playing. They had no speed, and they didn't have. Excuse me. I think of it as well. Danielle Theron went off with, I think, a crook elbow. She was playing some nice linkage play, but they just missed that speed. But as I said, Terrigal's performance was just so superior. Really good game to watch.
And the next game, Hornsby beat Warnervale 50 points to 0. Your Wildcat women, my Nalas up against each other. The Nalas, the official team of the podcast. 50-0 thrashing, mate.
Absolutely.
It looks like the Wildcats only had 9, I believe. It looks like Hornsby have 10. It looks like there's no subs there.
Hopefully they match numbers.
Well,
I'm personally speaking, I'm just going to go off a little tangent here because I was chatting to someone on Saturday about it. Actually, I can't remember who it was. I'm a massive believer of you've got to beat the team on your own merits. Anyone can beat a team by having an extra player. A merit win. So if they can only field 9, then you field 9. You've still got someone spare. You've still got a sub that you can use. Anyway, that's neither here or there. Nalas, and guess what that does for them, Burner?
What does it do for them?
It puts them in the top 4.
It does. Grace Barry, I'm just going to have a shot at you here. Would you go? No, 5 from 8. No, I'll pass that. 5 from 8. I'm okay with that.
5 from 8.
5 from 8.
Or 5 wins, 8 losses.
No, 5 kicks from 8.
Oh,
5 conversions.
Right,
5
sorry.
from 8 conversions. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yep.
4 from 8, I'm not okay with.
Yep.
5, I'm okay with.
Right.
6 is exceptional. That's par. Well done. Not having a shot at you at all, Grace. Good kicking. Callie Morris back, obviously a big inclusion there. But that is huge because that means for our ladder, Terrigal first place on 65, Avoca second on 60. Third place is Lakes on 48. So a bit of a gap there. But the good thing for Lakes is that Hornsby are next down to 35. So you can pretty much guarantee that Lakes are going to be playing finals.
Yeah.
Lakes are going to be playing finals. I'll say it now, which is massive. And then I'll speak about these two clubs a little bit further, but Hornsby are in 4th on 35. The Razorbacks are in 5th on 33. And that's a very interesting as the games move on. Warnervale in 6 on 20 points. So they are now officially out of the race. They'll have to win every game. Hornsby lose every game, and they've got to claw back another maybe 400 points in for and against. So it's not going to happen.
Going to be difficult.
And Woy are unfortunately out of the race as well. On 1 point down the bottom there. Let's get into the preview for round 15. All right, we'll start with the women's. And I'll continue on the tangent. I was just talking about that with the Razorbacks and Hornsby. This is the match of the round this weekend. There's probably 2 actually, but I'll say this one for the competition. So as I said before, we have Hornsby who are on 35 points in 4th spot, trying to lock up that 4th spot. It's top 4 for the women's. And then we have the Razorbacks who are on 33 points. So they play each other this weekend. This is how important this game is. After this game, I did write down some notes. Now I've rubbed it out my bloody laptop. Awesome. Good stuff. So after this game, Hornsby have the bye. All right.
Yep.
Then Hornsby play Terrigal.
Yep.
Then Hornsby play Woy.
Yep.
All right. So the bye they're not going to get any points for. Yep. Terrigal is going to be a tough one.
Yep.
Woy they'll get points for. The Razorbacks, after this weekend, the Razorbacks play Terrigal.
Yep.
The following week, they play Avoca.
Yep.
Which they're going to find that tough as well. And then the week after that, they play against Warnervale.
Yep.
So if you look at the ladder so far, if Hornsby are playing against the bye, obviously no points. If they're playing against Terrigal, they're probably not going to accrue points. Let's just say if the ladder stays the same. So they're only going to win one more game or get one more chance to really accrue points. The same thing with the Razorbacks. If they can't knock off Terrigal or Avoca, they're only going to get one more chance to accrue points. So that is how influential this game is with who can leap over the next team. Because their run home is tough other than that last round. So this game, mate, is massive. It's at Arimba Rugby Park, 2:20 p.m. I think to decide who's going to play finals this year. Who have you got?
Well, last week I put a line through the Nalas. It's only a temporary blossom.
It's a temporary line.
I'm just going to YouTube.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm putting the line through the Nalas again.
Still there from last week.
Yeah, still there from last week. I've put the line through them again. Nalas are kidding themselves. It's a slight ray of sunshine.
Wow.
On what is other than a dreary day.
The podcast.
The dreary day for the Nalas. They're done. They're finished. That's right, Ange Miranda. I'm talking to you and that team you lead so fantastically around the paddock.
She's currently ripping the radio out of the car.
Yeah, well, I think she's going to rip parts of me off next time she sees me. To answer your question, fair dinkumly, I honestly, really and truly did not see them winning against the Wildcats. They're just so bloody hard to pick. We know how fantastically we know what a fantastic group of rugby players that Hornsby side is, but we haven't seen them week in, week out. So they're just so hard to pick. And one thing I'll give the Razorback women. They've grown. They're growing into a side. They've been able to play, and it's been. I think they're a feel good team of the competition so far because they've clawed their way into the competition. They've really earned their victories, and they've done it through tough times. Yeah, Orenbong last year, they've stuck at it, and they're a real good opportunity of winning or making the semi-finals, which will be an outstanding effort for them. But again, I can't help but think if all Hornsby's women show up, then the Nalas will win the game. But I would like to see the Razorbacks win because they haven't forfeited a game all year. Yes, they have. No, actually, no. Oh, I nearly swore. I got to.
Don't do that. I have to put the whole explicit thing like I did last week.
I know, and we got banned. We got banned from YouTube.
Did we?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that later on.
So good.
Razorbacks at home. That's what I'm going.
All right. I'm sticking tried and true with the team of the podcast, the Nalas. I'm saying that because if they don't win this weekend, they're not playing in the finals.
Yeah, that's what I
because they've got, after this week, as I said, they've got the bye. They've got Terrigal. At the Haven, which I think is going to be too much for them.
Yep.
And last round, they got Woo, which they'll win, but the Razorbacks are going to be too far ahead of them to claw back. So the Nalas have to win this weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
If they are to play finals. The Razorbacks can have another crack to try and get there, but they've got to knock off 1 and 2.
Depending on the result, they'll be the Razorbacks will obviously get an extra chance, but against the two best sides in the competition.
Yeah.
What I still can't understand, and imagine being the poor old coach at the Nalas, that side they brought up to Nala Day. That's the bloody Hornsby side that's good enough.
Yeah.
And has the potential to win the competition.
Yeah.
Where the hell are they every Saturday?
Yeah.
Mate.
And what was upsetting was that the matchups on that day didn't allow for them to, that just didn't allow for them to really have a really good crack. Like they would, they basically pumped whoever they played. So
it's going to be a cracker match.
It will be an absolute cracker. Speaking of cracking games, will we host Terrigal?
Yeah. I'd like to, but I just can't see what we're winning.
Okay, I'm going to go with Terrigal there. And the last game, the Lakes.
You know what? Just Warwood women, you've toughed out so much. So you've toughed it out for so long. Yeah. Don't freaking put the cue in the rack now. Yeah. Don't turn around and go, it's Terrigal, it's too hard. We're going to get flogged. I'm not even going to bother. You come on. You're going to earn more respect and just do your best. Just show up and do your best.
They're doing that every week.
Yeah,
there they are.
The numbers are getting a little bit thinner though.
They are getting thinner. The injuries are coming, but they are trying every single week to get there. There is no lack of effort. It's just the numbers that just aren't there. But they've only got 3 games left.
Well, I'm talking to the women who don't listen to the podcast.
Okay, fair enough.
So if one of your friends plays for plays for Warboy, that's a little bit of a don't want to. It's too hard. I'm going to lose by 100 points. Send them a copy of this podcast.
Yeah,
because I'm talking to them right now.
This will motivate them. This will get them out of bed.
You heard me, Mary. I'm talking to you, Mary. Rebecca and Rachel, Sharon and Sarah.
I don't know if there's a Sharon from Warwick. It's actually
there should be a Sharon from Warwick.
There's definitely
a Shazza from Warwick. There's got to be
there.
100%.
And the last game, the Lakes. Well, this is why I said it could be the second one. It's got nothing to do with the table. It's just the spike game from last time.
Battle of the North.
The Battle of the North, Lakes v Warnervale. If you remember back to last time, Warnervale with a huge upset over the Lakes.
Yeah. That might have been the last. Oh, not last time, but they won. But one of the few.
It was
victories.
The last time that Lakes lost was that game.
How about that?
Yeah, and so obviously,
except for the 40-0 thrashing at Terrigal last week.
And I reckon off the back of how they felt after that Warnervale game, I think this could be one of the great shellackings.
Redemption.
I think this is redemption massively for Lakes.
Yep.
And just seeing Warrnambool struggling in recent times, and even looking through that team sheet on the weekend, I'm looking through that. I'm like, that is a weapon side.
Yeah.
I think Lakes are going to put plenty on Warrnambool this weekend.
Yeah, Lakes for me as well.
Yeah.
That's at Slade Park.
It's at Slade Park.
Yeah, look out.
I think a big one for the
great.
Lakes this weekend.
Big showing by the Lakes women.
So games again, Razorbacks host Hornsby, Werribee host Terrigal, and the Lakes host Warrnambool. Let's get into Premier 1.
Thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry too.
Huge thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry.
He's not just doing the results of the rounds, he's also doing the previews.
Lake Macquarie.
I haven't double invoiced him yet, but he's going to get one.
Lake Macquarie, the competition said you had a good win on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Take the week off.
Not the competition. The rugby, the gods of rugby.
The rugby gods.
It's just how it works.
They're giving them a bye this weekend. Well deserved. Where we host Terrigal.
I do have the phone number for the gods of rugby.
Do you?
Yeah. If you look up Todd Wills in my phone and it come up, and if he doesn't answer, try Kate Thompson. And if she doesn't answer, they both know it's me ringing.
Yeah. I have to put the number on private. Where we host Terrigal, mate. First game.
Terrigal?
Yep. I don't know what
it's by 100 plus.
Yeah, I think 100, and I think if they win by 100, if it's 100-0.
Well done. Well, actually, you know what, boy? Actually, no. Terrigal. You know what, Trojans? Burner holds the record for the biggest loss as the Premier 1 captain for the Warway Lions. 133-0. We've waxed lyrical about it for quite some time. And listeners, I can reveal exclusively to you today that captain is making his long-awaited return.
I don't know if that's the case.
To the Lions. To savour and to save.
Or break it again.
To save his record of being the captain of a 133-point loss. Try his guts out. I'm not sure. It should be Casey Woodford.
Casey Woodford.
He should be the captain. He's inspirational, that young fella.
He is.
And Bernard is doing the right thing by the club, and he's going back to play just to ensure that he keeps the record as the captain for the biggest loss. Also, too, Popo, Bernard was watching you play on the weekend. Same with Eddie Apollo, and actually Sam Kenny. Actually, I think from memory, Bernie,
you know what, the whole
you said that back row was so shit.
Yeah,
you can't wait to teach him a lesson on Saturday. Is that
Harry
correct?
Gray, yeah. Everyone can't run the ball. Everything. I'm going to go for some sort of exercise and see how my hamstring is before I start making any sort of commitments at all.
Mate, I'm about 3 hours north on Saturday of the Central Coast. There's every chance I'm driving back to Terrigal just to see this game. Boy, I'll go even further.
Oh.
But
hopefully if I'm there, it might be just game of second grade.
We all know that we're forfeiting second grade, so consider yourself back in the Premier 1 position. And was it right? Sam Kenny's a cat? Is it what the word you were saying?
Oh, Sam Kenny is a cat. We're not making that up, all right? Sam Kenny is a cat.
And can you tell listeners? I can't think of the guy's name. The other prop, not Harry Gray. Look it up for me. Antonio, I think.
Yep.
Played a really strong game on the weekend.
Kuna.
Yeah. Antonio Kuna.
Well, that's what it is on Instagram.
Yeah,
it might not be that.
So Berner and I are watching the Terrigal game, and Antonio Kuna's just made a couple of absolutely barnstorming runs. Good front rower runs, into space.
Yeah, it is Kuna, yeah.
Running with gusto and and Berner's lovely partners looked at him and gone, "Are you sure?" And Berner's going, "No, I'm not sure at all."
Is that thing? I'm like, I can still do it, as you're just having a beer on the sideline going, I can still compete with this, but I haven't got any muscle on my shoulders anymore at all. And then I just see him run this beautiful Danks hits him inside, just runs his hard line there. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. My body on the line with that. My God. Watching Harry Gray just charge onto the ball. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
So anyone from the Terrigal Trojan forward pack, feel free to send your well-wishing thoughts to Berner. Those of you who aren't involved in Terrigal or Warboy, you can send your condolences to Rochelle Pope, Berner's partner, and he was a great guy.
Yeah, you're all a bunch of cats.
It might.
I'm
been
digging
great.
my grave. See how the body pulls up. I'll go for something in some sort of
You
run,
go
some
for
sort
a
of
cheeseburger.
I'll go for a cheeseburger, original fillet combo. Do a bit of a stretch, see how the body feels. Because there is not like a couple of weeks ago I played and I ran out there for 5 minutes, then pulled the hamstring. Like there's nothing more embarrassing. It's like this is just so shit. Like it's just there's nothing happening. I've broken nothing. I pulled a hamstring. It was just not worth it. Anyway, that's the Warboy Terrigal game. I thought we were going to be on that for about 10 seconds. The next game, Razorbacks host Hornsby.
Word on the street is it's been coming through. They're actually preparing the Razorbacks and Hornsby. Is that right?
That's right.
They're preparing a bus for the Razorbacks.
Yep.
And Lachlan Peruch is going to be driving that bus. And it's going to be a bus to a bloody big victory. I'm tipping 50 plus here.
Yep. I'm tipping 60 plus.
60 plus, yeah.
I think it's going to be a big victory on the weekend. If they can click, which you know the Razorbacks definitely can against Hornsby, who have to travel. And I think knowing now they're not playing finals.
Yep. I'm tipping friend of the show, Lachlan Peruch, to score 2.
Kick a goal?
I
think he's got that in, and then he might
Ryan Fanning kills him.
Yeah, but if you score the try, you're like, mate, I've got this one.
Yeah, he probably will. If it's in front, he will.
All right. Like you said, if you can get us a goal just for argument's sake.
2 tries, 1 conversion, Lachlan Peruch. You heard it here first. I'm not sure. Sportsbet are framing a market for it at the moment. So there you go.
Battle of the North, mate. Lakes v Warnervale. So interesting how this game flips on its head.
Yeah.
Like even looking at the Lakes logo over the Warnervale logo, I'm usually tied to Lakes, but now it's just so heavily the other way. This is a Warnervale victory
at Lakes.
At Lakes,
yeah,
it's at Slade Park.
Yeah, Lakes may get a few extra players. Look, I really hope they can field 2 sides again in Premier 2.
Did they forfeit 2s on the weekend?
They forfeited 2s to put the most competitive side they could in 1s. That's what is horrible. It still got beaten by 100 points. Warnervale for a big victory here. Tough times. I had a quick chat with one of the greatest humans,
King of the North,
Scotty on Saturday, and he said, "Mate, just got so many injuries." But I think there's a few more issues, unfortunately, for Lakes in regards to numbers, and we touched on that last week.
All right, so Warnervale there to get the win over Lakes, and then the last game, the match of the round, Gosford host Avoca. So 4th place hosting 1st place.
Avoca gave Gosford a little bit of a touch up here from memory. Last time they met, I remember the scoreline sort of blowing out a little bit, maybe 40s to the teens.
43-10. Well done.
Thanks.
That's good memory.
It's impressive back then. I'm not sure if Avoca's playing as good a rugby as they are.
I think Gosford are playing better now than what they were earlier in the year.
I'm thinking it's going to be a really tight match, and I know we hung shit on the Sharks for, I guess, a poor display against Warwood 2 weeks ago. They've had a bye since then, so I think Gosford have every chance. They're primed for a good opportunity to knock off the Sharks. I don't know how much the game last week's going to take out of them in regards to emotionally and a bit of a toll, especially when it's hard to get up for another game after, there's no doubt the Gosford Arimba is, the derby for them. Where's it at?
It's at Gosford.
Oh, that's going to help.
Showground.
Yeah, that'll help. I think I'm going to tip the Sharks though. But I think it's going to be tight. I think it'd be Sharks in a tight one.
I agree with you. I think Sharks in a tight one.
So
it's still going, but we're out of the room. So now we're back. We're back in. All right, so there was a problem. Technical difficulty. Sorry, we've booted ourselves out of our own studio. Look, it's the first time this has ever happened, and it won't be the last.
I'm going to quote the great Toddy Atkins.
Yep.
You guys have done this before, haven't you?
Yeah. We booted ourselves out of our own studio. That's one of the best. Anyway, thank you very much for still being with us.
I've got no idea where I'm up to, but I'm giving
You were
away
going to give
Carl from Exquisite Exterior
Yes,
Cleaning.
thank you. Also want to give a shout out to Carl. Thank you very much for your sponsorships throughout the year. I think we obviously give it the Exquisite Exterior cleanup every single week, but we do very much appreciate Carl, sponsoring us, allowing us to do what we do and bring the podcast to you guys. So if you do need anything done, any exterior cleaned, please reach out to Carl at Exquisite Exterior Cleaning on Instagram. And there is also a 15% discount if you mention B&B as well. So, support companies that also support us and allow us to do this every single week.
Yeah, helping out the community. So get behind Carl. But the Exquisite Exterior Cleanup of the Week, the winners are the team that gave a big cleanup. And that was my Lake Macquarie Roos cleaning up the Warwood line. So well done, Lose. Well done, Roos.
Yep. Could be the Lose. I like the Lose.
Yeah, the Lose.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. They're not anymore. They're the wins now. They're the wins. So Lake Macquarie Roos, how good getting the victory, putting the cleaners through the Warwood line. So Lake Macquarie, well done.
And
hey, Lake Macquarie, actually, do you need your clubhouse cleaned?
You might.
Get in contact with Carl from Exquisite Exterior Cleaning.
They might need the interior cleaned as well.
Well, I'll tell you what.
How big the night was.
Yep, I'll tell you what. First victory, new clubhouse, give it a good clean.
Yep.
Exteriors everywhere. Carl's the man.
Carl is the man. What else are we going to talk about, mate?
Well, I don't know. What else have we got? We've spoken about the guys playing the 100 games. I want to give a quick apologies. We had a little bit too much potty mouth last week. So our YouTube.
Depending on how much this gets cut, there might be a bit of potty mouth. So what happened with the YouTube?
So YouTube, you had to acknowledge or you had to confirm the fact you're over 18 to watch it.
Oh, really?
So I've never seen that before. So I'm not sure. We've got a few YouTube viewers, listeners. We never seem to have audio issues on YouTube. I can't work that out. Obviously, we're in the studio. We don't. But anyway, so if you couldn't validate that you were 18, you couldn't watch the podcast last week.
Thanks to Barthy.
Well, I don't know. It was me.
I think it was definitely you. So I was listening back to it. I think that's it. Actually, Wallabies in the weekend. Had a loss.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it at all?
No.
Had a loss. I thought it was one of those things. It's just a good effort, but then you look at it and we got absolutely smacked. What I do want to acknowledge is Scott Barrett's hit on Tate McDermott.
Yeah, how good.
Just if you ever want to know anything, what not to do 5 meters out from your own line in a line out, see that. Because if you didn't see it, he basically, Wallabies pop the ball off the back, goes to Tate McDermott, and he catches it at about sort of head height, and Scott Barrett just cleans straight through and just drives him back into his own in goal. Tate loses the ball, All Blacks touchdown. It was an absolute dismantling, and just one of the great reasons why you never do that, especially when you've got a keen All Blacks team running right through.
Just want to give a quick shout out to all our referees. I was looking for someone in particular, but they're not listed on the Rugby Explorer app. Shout out to our referees. You do a great job each and every week. We can't play a game without you. So thank you for all your efforts on a Saturday. I'm out. I'm done.
You done?
Done.
Good stuff. All right. Season of the game of rugby this weekend, and we'll hope you're still listening next week. See ya.